Lovely. So I'm just going to begin and to welcome everybody. Really lovely to see you, and I thank you for taking this time to be with me here and taking this time for you and your well-being. So as we begin, I'm going to light a candle. I just invite you to really be fully present here. Put down whatever worries you've had from the day and just let yourself be here now. And as I light the candle, it's for everybody here and for the wider group. And for anybody that you'd like to bring into the circle, if there's anybody at the moment that you feel could really use a little bit more peace, love, healing, whatever it is. And I'd like in particular to mention my colleague Linda and her husband Paddy and send love and healing to them. If there's anybody else that you want to name, if you just say that for yourself here, and we'll bring them into the circle of healing, and especially when we do the meditation later. Okay, thank you. Okay, so any questions before I begin? Okay, thank you. So today I am going to be just sharing really a little bit about June and looking at June from an Ayurvedic perspective. And I've been enjoying Ayurveda for a lot of my life now, so it sort of feels part of me. But when I first found out about it and was learning about it, part of me sort of felt, well, you know, what they're telling me, I know what they're saying, it's just so obvious. And then another part of me was like, but they're not talking any sense. It's upside down, back to front. It just seems really, really such a different perspective and such a different way at looking at things. So if you just let what I'm sharing wash over you and just feel how this is for you. And maybe many of you know about Ayurveda already, so this is just another perspective. But anyone who does know about Ayurveda knows that really Ayurveda sees us as nature. And so really I want to bring our attention back to nature. And one of the most beautiful things about Ayurveda is that it really reminds us that we're not separate from nature. That whatever's happening outside is also happening within us. And that in actual fact the seasons can influence our digestion, our energy, our emotions, our sleep, and even the way we think and feel. So if we just spend a little time with June, and with England, I don't know, we're not always in the hot summer months, because so you can be thinking, hang on a minute, Karina, what you're talking about. But we are approaching the summer solstice and the days are getting longer, the gardens are abundant and the roses are blooming and the hedgerows are full. And so we can have this really lovely feeling of expansion and a feeling of possibility. And we're spending a lot more time outdoors doing things than perhaps we were in the winter. That's sort of the natural thing. So all of this belongs to what Ayurveda calls the Pitta season. And when we're looking at Pitta, this is connected to fire. And it's fire and transformation. And it governs our digestion, our metabolism, And when our pitta is good, because we've all got pitta in us, we've got great focus, we've got great drive, passion, and purpose. So when it's balanced, we can feel really sort of clear, motivated, and we've got loads of energy. But when it goes out of balance, and that means really we've just got too much heat in the body, so we could feel it from hot flushes, we can have inflammation, all things like that, then really this is a sign that there is that we've got a pitta imbalance. But what is great is the very, very simple things we can do that over time we can bring a return to balance and really cool and calm our system in really, really simple ways. So the other thing I wanted to share, because we're in England, and as I say, of course we're in the summer, but it's not like sort of steaming hot like it might be in the Mediterranean or something. And so what I just want to say about that is that although we get affected by the seasons, and because compared to our winters, obviously it's much hotter than our winter, but there are other things that can really affect the heat and inflammation in our body, not just the seasons. And the way life is now, really life can make us feel that we've got that we're overheated and got too much. We can very easily get inflammation in the body, and it's such a big talking point, isn't it? And really, that is partly because really we're already living in a world that constantly aggravates the Pitta dosha. Because if you can imagine fire, what's going to make fire even more? It's like we live in a culture of speed. It's like too much information, lots of screen time, pressure, decisions, too much stimulation. All of these things are going to activate our systems even more, build the fire, and make us feel much more intense. So there's one thing that we can feel it in the body with inflammation and internal heat, but we can also feel it in our emotions. So when our Pitta dosha is out of balance, we can be really quick to react. We can feel angry very quickly. And it's all to do with this balance. And then not only that, there are certain foods that will really activate that even more. So we're feeling like that, we reach for a coffee and another coffee, alcohol, all of these things are going to sort of build the heat, which is just part of our lifestyle. But if you're noticing that you're feeling some of these symptoms, then it can be really helpful to start bringing cooling things in and slowing things down to really bring balance in. Because, as I say, it doesn't always correspond to the summer. We can be feeling this inflammation, irritability, hot flushes, whatever, hormonal imbalance, all of these things any time of the year. And really, of course, the important thing isn't where the heat came from, but how to cool it. So really learning really simple ways of how we can do that. So I'm just going to take a moment now. So really, I'm going to go straight on. I can keep talking about having heat and too much inflammation and so on. But really, obviously, what's important for us is how we calm our systems. Because when our digestion gets like this and we're overheated, the liver can be working too hard. It's got a lot of work. We can get skin complaints. All of these are part of a Pitta out of balance. Any skin complaints is a Pitta imbalance. If you have sore and tired eyes, that's a Pitta imbalance. So really, to cool and calm the system is very, very important. So if we're looking in Ayurveda about the ways that we can really cool and calm the system, really there are three words that we need to look for, and that is easy, cool, and light. So in Ayurveda, I'm going to look at food and nutrition first. And in Ayurveda, we work with what we call 6 tastes. And in the summertime, or if we're working to cool our system, there are 3 tastes that are most supportive to bring a return to balance. And the first one is the sweet taste. And when we talk about sweet taste in Ayurveda, we're not talking about reaching for sweets or the biscuit tin or anything like that. Sweet actually means the natural sweetness of things like ripe fruit, so things like, peaches, plums, watermelons, pineapple, really sort of deeply sweet and hydrating fruits are part of sweet. Other things that are sweet are things like sweet potatoes, beetroot, rice. It's an unusual combination of things, but all of these things are going to bring a gentleness and softening to the system. So then, and of course, it goes without saying that, obviously the summertime, nature's providing that for us. And in fact, berries are a wonderful thing in the summertime to really help hydration, because also Ayurveda, obviously it's important to hydrate and to drink water. But in Ayurveda, it's not only about drinking water, it's about bringing things in that are going to really nourish and deeply hydrate the tissues. So berries in abundance are really supportive to help us keep that sort of sweetness and not get into this sort of over-activation. And at this time of year, we begin to see many other cooling foods appear, but many of us don't really know what foods are cooling, because it's not about having cold foods. And in fact, in Ayurveda, much of our food is cooked. It's much more supportive for the digestive system if food is cooked. So when we're looking at cooling foods, we're looking at things like fresh herbs, leafy greens, cucumber, mint, and coriander. So all of these qualities are, if we bring them into our diet over time, are really going to help to steady and cool and calm our system. And berries, I keep going back to berries because they are just so supportive for the liver and are rich in protective compounds, which are really wonderful to help reduce the heat of stress. And so, as I say, they are very lovely at this time of year. And this time of year, one of the other tastes is bitter. And bitter is your liver's best friend. And many of us in the UK don't really eat enough bitter foods. So when I'm talking bitter, I mean things like rocket, kale, chard, all those sort of leafy greens. And they can literally, if we eat them over time, have them daily or every other day, they are sort of very gently draining the heat from the liver. I mean, it's that they're that supportive. And really, coriander leaf is Pitta's best friend. So even just to sprinkle, some chopped coriander onto a meal is really going to help you. Okay. And then the third taste that we favour in the summertime is astringent. And when we're looking at astringent food, we are talking about legumes, so any pulses. Pomegranate is astringent, fennel, cabbage, and crunchy raw vegetables. And cucumber deserves a special mention because that is a real, if you like, superfood to really bring a return to cool and to balance. So I talk about the 6 tastes, and they are the 3 to really favour if you've got inflammation going on in the body or too much heat. And then the other 3 are the ones to have less of. So the other 3 tastes, the first one is pungent. So it makes perfect sense that to have pungent, spicy foods, that's going to sort of up the heat. So in actual fact, if you can lessen the chili, the garlic and the onions, then again, that's really going to support a return to balance of the inflammation in your system. And another really unusual one is tomatoes. So tomatoes actually have a very heating effect on the system. They're better if you cook them, but raw tomatoes can actually very gently build the heat in the body, just to know that. And then the other 2 tastes that we have less of in the summer are salt and sour. So again, you can sort of imagine that salt could add more heat to the fire, and also sour. So things like we're looking at, lemons, limes aren't so heating, but lemons, grapefruits, things like that, and even sauerkraut. So this is the thing about Ayurveda, these fads come in and everyone's like, oh yeah, sauerkraut and kombucha and all of these raw sort of vinegary sort of type of food. But in actual fact, if you have inflammation in the body, it can have a really adverse effect and can actually ramp up heat. So that's why it can be, really important to feel into how you're feeling. And if you feel that you've got heat in the body, that's another type of food that for now is probably good to avoid. And again, it's quite unusual, but yogurt is the same. Yogurt's sour, and that can actually ramp up the heat as well. And obviously any sort of hot spices. So that's the sort of general sense in food in the summertime from an Ayurvedic perspective. And that doesn't mean to say that you have to have bland food. There's ways of making really beautiful spicy meals with cooling spices. And you may not know that curry leaves are actually cooling. Coriander's cooling. Fennel is cooling. And cumin is quite cooling. So you can make wonderful curries and spicy food without the heat. It's just a case of knowing which ones are going to cool your system and which are going to heat your system. So before I go, I'm going to say a little bit about practices and essential oils. Does anybody want to ask anything about the food before I go on to that? Maybe I'll see at the end. So if we now go on to Ayurvedic food and practices, there are many practices that can really support us, obviously, all year round, no matter what's going on.
Sorry, Karina, I was just going to ask a question.
Yeah,
actually.
no, please do, Beverly.
Is there anywhere that we can get a list of these cooling foods? So it's like a guideline to keep the inflammation down in
Yeah,
a Pitta season.
I I'm actually doing a Pitta cookery, Beverly, on the 27th of July. No, June. And within that, so that is a 2 hour live cookery with me. So
Hmm.
you can either cook along or you can watch. Some people watch and then cook afterwards. And it's a really simple meal. I offer omnivore version, vegetarian or vegan, so whatever diet you have. And really within that, it, it's quite a simple meal, so it's all ingredients people would be able to get hold of, and it's a nice menu. But really within that, I'm teaching more about the Ayurvedic perspective and what foods to bring in and why and when, and also the way we cook things, because the way we cook things can support the lessening of inflammation also. But within that program, I give that within the program. So anybody that signs up and is part of that, you have a place on the platform with the recipes. I give that information in there, and then you get an invitation to the live cookery. And if you can't make it, you get the recording, but the recording's there. So I offer it that way, or I also do Ayurvedic one-to-one consultations, and I offer it in that way. So they're really the two possible ways, which I'm happy to talk to you about further if you would like. Um, so thank you. Any other questions just before I go on to practices? Is it all making sense? Is it seeming like another perspective, or is it just making sense? Because we talk about qualities, you see. So it's not about, you've got to have this diet or you've got to um, eat this food. Because the other thing is, really what's important is what is right for you. And no person is the same. So you might be feeling heat in one time. You may work with the foods and cool the system, and then you might be feeling something else. And so you bring another combination of whatever foods your body needs right now. So this is the whole thing, and this is why really understanding your body and what you need is the most helpful thing, because that's how you can tune in to really help bring yourself back to balance and support homeostasis in your system, really. So if I then go on, we'd have a little look at practice and things. So if I begin with meditation, because it is such a key in Ayurveda, and really it's just the idea that if we take time out to just simply find our peace, our quiet, our center, then on so many levels that really supports our system to feel well, that we can feel more at peace and at ease with ourselves, because we are just with ourselves really. And obviously encouraging that supports us to be able to really you know understand ourselves and feel what we need. So meditation is quite an important thing, as is movement, yoga, swimming, walking, dancing, doesn't matter what it is, but movement's important. But the one thing I would like to add to that, if someone has a pitta imbalance, so too much heat in the body, the key sports or movements for you will be walking in moonlight is one. So generally walking in nature, but walking in moonlight, or even just being in the moonlight, as the opposite of the sun, it really has a cooling effect on us. So if you have like an early evening walk, that's really, really supportive. Swimming, just to be in water, is very pitta pacifying. gentle yoga. And the point is, not to do, something like Bikram yoga, where people are doing yoga in a heated room, would be like putting, fuel on the fire. So it's more about sort of flow and steady movement. And Beverly.
So actually, I just went to a sauna before this session, so I'm
Yeah.
feeling really hot. Does that actually does that actually mean that I've like increased my pitta?
Not at all. No, 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 no. And it's a great question because um, it depends how your overall feeling of heat, internal heat or inflammation is. But if it's nothing extreme, that would be a normal response, as I'm sure you would agree, coming out of the sauna. And in a way, that's your body doing the lovely cleanse and getting rid of heat. So I
Mm,
think it's about sort of tuning in to whether that is or not. Probably one would need, I don't know, it's not for me to say really, but I think especially if you're like in a cool pool and you're going in the sauna, that balance is
yeah,
healthy and yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So
well,
I
yeah,
think just feel into, I think you would know that if over time you'd been going in the sauna a lot, or if you were having a period of thinking, gosh, I'm actually really feeling a lot of internal heat, I'm really feeling overheated, then you just don't go in the sauna for a while. It's just that tuning in, I would say. So I wouldn't say not to do that, but for somebody that had quite an extreme pitta imbalance, then I would say not to go in the sauna now if it was quite an extreme imbalance. That's a great question. Thank you.
okay, thanks.
Karina and
Mary.
Beverly, Karina and Beverly, I thought it's important what you shared that going to sauna can be actually clearing toxins efficiently. So in a sense, pretty good. So the inner pitta imbalance could even be actually, you could say, sweated out or something,
Yeah.
leaving us clear. So I mean, that's a great perspective. And to answer your question from before, it's making a lot of sense to me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I
just to
think,
say that.
and with the sauna, I suppose for each person, they've got to feel into what feels right for them, but I think people do with the sauna anyway. But yeah. So yeah, so the movement, I think that's clear that you just don't want to sort of overactivate things really if you're feeling a lot of internal heat, and obviously the obvious things of not spending too long in the sun and just being just barefoot on the ground, feeling the grass can be just a really lovely cooling thing as well. And in Ayurveda, there are certain breath work that we do that are cooling breath work, but I'm not going to go into that now. And simple things, another real key in Ayurveda is what we call abhyanga, which is where we oil the body. So it's like a self massage. And coconut oil is really, really cooling to the body. So that is another lovely thing to do a self massage with coconut oil. And actually, I didn't mention coconut in the food because coconut water, coconut milk, coconut juice, anything coconut is really, really cooling to the system and particularly hydrating. So if when we get a really hot spate or we're away on holiday, coconut is the coconut or watermelon are the two things that are going to really quickly hydrate you and sort of bring you back to life, if you like. They really sort of help the electrolytes sort of kick in, and maybe with a pinch of salt or maple syrup as well. And really, because it's not, water's very important, but in Ayurveda, we're working deeper than that. We're working about in the cell level, really sort of nurturing the cells. And so, hydration goes deeper than just water. And in Ayurveda, we don't say, oh gosh, you've got to drink however many liters of water a day. We respond to how we feel. So we're thirsty, we drink. We're not thirsty, we don't drink. Because we're just, it's that balance. And how do I feel? Am I thirsty? Oh, no. So I'm not going to force myself to have a litre of water. So it's so commonsensical, really, in many ways. Um, so now I'm gonna say a little bit about the oils now as well, because so in Ayurveda, one really important aspect in our sort of well-being journey is healing through the senses. So obviously, taste for food, the abhyanga, the self-massage, the touch, sound, and so on. But fragrance and our smell is really important, because what's important about fragrance is that it actually bypasses the thinking mind. And what I mean by that is that, especially if we're going through a period in our life where we feel anxious or, a little bit agitated or anything like that, we can try forever to calm ourselves or to feel better, and it's just not going to happen. But there's something with the oils that can really sort of kick into our system to actually bring a calming without us thinking about it. And that's why I'm so passionate working with the oils, because for me, they've been like magic. It's like, oh, I feel different in an instant. And that in particular is working in the way I work with the aroma point method. So for anyone who doesn't know about that, I mean, we all know about fragrance. I'm sure many people here. Yeah, if you've got any, Sarah, if you've got if you've got any oils here, do have some now. And we enjoy them in the bath, in a diffuser, maybe in our beauty products, whatever. And that's really lovely general well-being. But if you really get to know about fragrance and how it really is acting in our body, you can work with them in a much deeper level of well-being. And this way of working, you need to know 3 things. So the first thing is to understand what the fragrance is going to do to your system and in your body. And most people don't know this. So we can just think, oh yeah, lavender, I like lavender. I just like the smell of lavender. Or, oh yeah, I really love that geranium or that vetiver or whatever. But we don't actually know why we love it or what it's doing to us. So in working with this way, you begin to understand that lavender is going to really sort of calm your system, because it helps your energy sort of smooth out like this. You reach for vetiver, which is often actually in men's fragrances. And vetiver is a root. So what vetiver is going to do is really bring your energy down. And so vetiver is wonderful if you're feeling really anxious in your head and worried about everything, because it's actually going to ground you. It's going to really, really settle your system. So wonderful if you're feeling anxious, but if you were feeling a bit low and down, then you wouldn't want vetiver. So on the other spectrum, if you were feeling a bit down and needed an uplift, any lemony fragrance would really help uplift you, because any lemony fragrances makes your energy go like this. So we're talking bergamot, orange, lemon, lime. And a lot of people don't know this, so they might be reaching for the wrong oil at the wrong time. And so this is one way I work with the oils, and I really enjoy sharing this information, because it just brings pure essential oils into a completely new light and can really support our well-being in a completely different way. So that was the first part. The second part is to really understand the inner soul nature of each oil, and that means the qualities they give us. So I'm not going to go deeply into that now, but just to say, we just work with geranium, which is the oil of love and trust, and the sweet mother. And for those, there's a few of you here who were on geranium with me. You can share if you like. But really, geranium she's like the perfect mum that gives you the perfect hug exactly when you need it. And that's because her biodynamics of fragrance helps your energy go in this lovely little circle like that. So it's all about completion and feeling really held and loved. And if anybody's interested in that, geranium is available as a recording right now. It's on the website. And next month we're going to be working with lavender. And lavender's really, and we all know and love lavender and know very well how wonderfully calming lavender can be. But the third thing to know is I work in a method called aroma point therapy, where it's aroma points. And this way of working, we take the tiniest drop of ready diluted oil, so it's the tiniest bit, and we know which points on the body to put the oil for a particular effect. And that way, just by holding a place for 1 to 3 minutes, we can feel a shift in our system and we can feel more settled and balanced. And in the lavender one, that's on the 18th of June, I'm going to be working with the group a lovely 4-point protocol to really unravel stress and tension and really support you to feel more cool and calm and relaxed in your system. And yeah, I found it so supportive because it really does bring a shift instantly, but then if you work with it over time, it can really allow the nervous system to settle and to bring, that feeling of calm is just much more easy to reach and have that feeling in your body by working in this way. And so lavender, I've chosen these oils at these particular times because lavender is a lovely one for a pitta imbalance, because lavender does bring this sort of cooling, calming effect to the system. And then we're actually going to be working with sweet orange in July, which is the oil of innocence, joy and innocence. And it is a more uplifting oil, but for summer it's just really light and a really lovely one. And then in August we're going to be working with peppermint, and I'm sure you all know, you just think of peppermint or mint and that lovely cooling effect. And that's great for real, if you feel a bit like you need more clarity, more focus. Peppermint is absolutely wonderful. That is actually the oil of the buoyant heart. So this is another way of working to really support our well-being. I think that's what I'm going to share today. So if anybody has any questions, I'd just like to open it out now, and then we'll just finish with a little meditation before we go at 9. So just take a moment now if anybody, just going to have a drink. Where's my drink?
Hi, Karina, and
Hi,
everyone.
Sarah.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for
Lovely to see
that.
you.
Just about the inflammation, because I've had a cold, I've been really achy, almost like fluey. That's presumably inflammation, isn't it? To a degree, or really?
I'm not. I'm not sure I would call that inflammation.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say, not knowing the full picture.
Mm.
But that could also be your body clearing,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels more clear today after feeling quite uncomfortable the last few days. So it's interesting. It was almost like I had the heat of a sore throat and a cold coming up. So I wondered if that was
Oh, I see.
them releasing
No, you see, that's more of a kappa thing, really.
it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say it's inflammation, Sarah.
Okay.
No, because I think a little bit like we were saying about the sauna, that sounds more like a clearing process, which there will be heat involved, but it's not that you're just going around with, oh, I'm feeling hot flushes or I've got a lot of heat. Do you know what I mean? Does that
Yeah,
sound about right?
it does. I mean, there's definitely inflammation in my throat that feels hot and swollen.
Yeah, but it's a temporary thing, so that's
Mm.
I mean, certainly I would use the oils like lavender could really soothe that anyway. And, if you're feeling it in your throat, to have lovely coconut drinks and so on, that could be really hydrating and soothing. Or to whiz up a watermelon or just a piece of watermelon. Those
Mm.
things will really support. But I
Okay.
wouldn't say it's necessarily a pitta imbalance because it sounds like it's a temporary, that it's a clearing
Okay.
thing, it's a temporary
Fine.
thing.
Okay. Thank you for that.
It's okay. Beverly.
Yeah, I was going to just ask about, so I've looked at the Ayurvedic system in the past in terms of diet, uh, but for example, I'm not very good with sweet fruits like watermelon, and also coconut for me is probably too sweet.
Hmm.
Um, and so my naturopath friends always pointing me towards the blood type diet. And as an AB, I mean,
Hmm.
coconut is like a negative food for me.
Okay.
And sort of, and the sweet things like watermelon as well, would be a negative food. It's just, I don't think it kind of works for me. So,
Okay. So that's an important question. So Ayurvedically, so really today I'm talking about pitta because it's the summer, and then bringing in that if people are feeling inflammation, it can be a pitta imbalance and that.
mm,
The way to really know would be to have an Ayurvedic consultation because you probably are not a Pitta dosha. To understand what your constitution is, which will be a mixture of Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. Once you know that, you've got a much bigger picture of what will be the most supportive food for you. And then also from an Ayurvedic consultation, it can be determined what is currently out of balance, which actually might not be pitta for you. And from hearing what you're saying, I think, like you said, the most important thing is that you're feeling into what you like and what you're not, what you don't resonate with. And so I would follow that over anything. And that would suggest that you're probably not predominantly a pitta dosha. And I would say probably you're more kapha. And that would actually really make sense to me that you wouldn't want sweet things because if you're more a kapha dosha, you've got enough sweet in you because of your makeup. And so the fruits that would probably be most supportive to you would be actually the things like the more sour fruits, like a plum or a grapefruit or I mean, off the top of my head. So what you're saying makes sense to me, but a consultation would make real sense of what your Ayurvedic constitution is, number one, and then whatever is currently out of balance, number two, and then looking at what needed to come into balance, if anything. You may not necessarily be out of balance, but
are those Ayurvedic um, types or constitutions, are they fixed? Because I'm sure in Kerala I was told I was Pitta Vata, but
okay, okay.
maybe it's changed. Maybe it changes with aging.
No, so that's a great question. And so when we're born, our constitution is our constitution. So that part essentially doesn't change. So if you were determined as that's what your constitution is, essentially that's not going to change. However, as we age, we go into the Vata season. So naturally, we're going to be more Vata predominant because that's the season that we're going in. And so, in a way, that's the dosha that we need to support more than any because that's where we're going towards. But the the imbalances change all the time, and imbalances can change within a day. Within a day you can feel pitta kapha or vata imbalance, but it's all about how extreme something is and whether if it's quite extreme that it can be really supportive to work with it to bring it back to balance, if you understand what I mean. Thank you. Great questions. Anybody else?
Hi, Karina.
Hi, Sue. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, I was just going to ask actually. So, if if for example you did have inflammation in the body, it would be more helpful then to have a consultation. So then you could determine which kappa you are, but also and which oil presumably would also support.
The thing with the consultation, I mean, so the way I teach generally because for me, for each person to have that knowledge, then they know ultimately how to support themselves. But obviously, at the beginning, it can be really helpful to have a consultation because then I remember when I first had a consultation, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a Pitta dosha. And that made it sort of helped me understand myself a lot more, how I could fly off the handle. And that was because my Pitta dosha was out at that time or whatever, So it can be really lovely for that you just can really begin to see yourself from this perspective. And then within a consultation, obviously there are many questions in the initial consultation sheet that then help the practitioner determine, more precisely what's going on exactly. And sometimes, inflammation can also be connected to the kapha dosha, but for different reasons. Because with kapha, that's earth, it's more earthy, and so it can be that if we've got too much earth in us, we become inflamed because things aren't moving, and in that case we need to move things. So in actual fact we do need pungent, because actually what's needed there is movement to bring the flow back. So obviously so a consultation is going to support in a much more precise way. I would like to say I am not an Ayurvedic doctor, so I do not prescribe the herbs, and that's another way of doing. But I'm an Ayurvedic lifestyle consultant, so I'm trained to be able to support whatever's going on in food and nutrition in a way to systematically and gradually bring a return to balance. But if it was something that was more material, then an Ayurvedic doctor could be indicated, so it depends, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Lovely. Mary.
Can you remind me, can I get a dosha? Can I find out what my dosha is? I've forgotten.
You can. I haven't actually made my quiz available yet. I will be doing it at some point.
Yeah, I thought you had.
I mean, in a consultation, obviously you would find that out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just Google and do one, but
No,
I don't.
I'll wait.
Some are
I'll
better
wait for
than
that.
others.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm wanting to put in place, but haven't as yet.
No, I'd like to maybe book in for consultation, but I just thought you'd mention that sometime. It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
I have found, and so I was inspired by you, Sarah, doing this. So this, I'm on the aromatic soul journey, which is very important because it's like one oil a month. But I realized I was in Naples earlier, without name dropping or something, and then in Ireland, so in the sun and then in Ireland. But I was finding the way that the one we were working on, geranium, I think last month until we get to lavender, it was quite affecting me, like not every day, but every day when I remembered, there were different things happening, which it helps. I did it in the protocols, as it says. And it was lovely to see that. It's like getting to get a deepening my friendship with my little new friends,
Brilliant. No, that's lovely.
So I just
Will
want to
you
say
share it
that.
in the platform, your observations? Because that
Yeah,
would be
well,
lovely,
I
and
like
I'm
to,
sure others would love to hear how geranium is for you as well.
But I find it kind to have a month to sort of go along, and this, it lasts so long and it's diluted, so it's not like too strong or something. So I
Yeah.
just I just find it's a lovely, as you say, a family of friends or something that I've got little friends going along, and when I visit them, not every day, or when they come along with me, like Sarah just reminded me, and I had this little one, her. I usually call them her, but there might be some hymns in it. I don't know.
Is that geranium? Yeah.
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 No, actually,
Lovely.
bergamot came into my hand, so I just decided not to reject it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's lovely, thanks.
That's lovely. Yeah, no, I think no, that's why I did it month by month because then because what's important is to understand how the oil's responding with you. You know, they have a certain movement and a certain effect, but obviously we're also different. So to learn, how often you want to use it or when to use it. So no, that's
This
really important,
concept of
Mary.
time is very good for me because unless it's instant in a nanosecond, I can't, like games or I'm scrolling, got it in nanosecond, I've gone, so
I
I've
know
been
we've got to slow
counteracting that.
down. We've got to slow down.
Yeah. I am as well. But thank you.
Thank you. Lovely. So, I'm just noticing the time. Would everybody like a little meditation? Are you happy to go a little bit longer? If anybody has to jump off, right, absolutely fine. I'll just check if there's any more questions, and then um, we'll do a little meditation to complete. Any questions? You can, of course, just email me if you have any questions. That's absolutely fine. So, in that case, so if you just thank you, Beverly. um, so if you just I let all that I was saying, if you just let it all go, just let it wash over you, and just to support any inflammation. I know it's not really hot here in England. I'm hoping that we will get some sun. I think it's forecast for next weekend that we're going to have a lovely sunny weekend. But still, no matter what, because of how life is, we can get inflamed and overheated, and this can cause many different things. So I'm going to do a little bit of a cooling meditation together. So I'm just going to invite you to really just let all I've said go and just really settle into the space that you're in. And even if you want to lie down, please do. Just get as comfortable as you possibly can. And just feel your body. Just really feel into your body how you are. And feel your breathing. And if any of you have got lavender or any of the cooling oils, you're welcome to bring them here right now. But just allow yourself to be in this feeling of letting everything go. There's nothing you have to do, nothing to say. And just let your eyes really gently close. So again, I'm just going to invite you just to feel your body. And just feel where you're sitting. And just notice the weight of your body and how you're supported So whether you're on a chair or if you're laying, just feel it as a really lovely support, as if someone's holding you and that you're cradled and everything's all right. So I'm going to invite us to set down the heat of the day. So whether you've had any heated talks, arguments, moments when you've had far too much to do, just going to invite you to set those down. So heat from thinking, just pop it down. Heat from rushing, just let it go. Heat from planning, just let it go. Heat from worrying, just let it go. Heat from carrying responsibilities, just let it go. Heat from trying to hold everything together, just let it go. And even if it's just for these few moments now, I invite you to set it all down. And just feel the day or the worries or the rushing or the stress leave your body with every breath out. Just feel that letting go. And any breath in, just feel yourself breathing in a cool, nourishing breath. And then as you breathe out, just put more down, just let it go. And again, as you breathe in, feel a cool, nourishing breath. I'm just going to invite you to bring awareness gently to your forehead. And just allow your forehead to soften. And bring awareness to your eyes. Your eyes work tirelessly every day. Just see if you can really let go and really let your eyes rest back in your head. See if you can feel a letting go of your eyes. Just really allow the muscles there to soften. And let your focus and attention go down your face and feel a softening. And then just put your attention on your jaw and just see if you can really let your jaw soften. And then let your throat soften. Let your shoulders soften. Just see if you can let your shoulders drop. And just see if you can allow any unnecessary effort to melt away. And then just trace down your body, make a connection with your heart And just let your heart really soften and rest gently in your chest. And allow yourself to feel a sense of calm, but without losing joy. And then I'm going to invite you to go to the right side of your ribs, where your liver is. And just imagine a really cooling of your liver, letting go all the processing of the day. And just let it rest. Just imagine a gentle coolness moving through this area. Soft, comforting, and restorative. You can just imagine like it's a cool breeze washing away and blowing away anything you don't need. So just breathe in coolness and breathe out heat. And then just trace this coolness coming down your body into your abdomen, to your legs, to your lower legs, and into your feet. Just feel your feet firmly on the ground and imagine you're outside in a beautiful garden and you're barefoot and you can feel the grass between your toes. Imagine it's the end of a long summer day and the sun has begun to set. The heat of the day is leaving the earth and the sky is turning gold. And everything is becoming quieter, slower, and softer. Nearby, lavender flowers are releasing their fragrance. And you feel this lovely, calm fragrance. And sweet orange is bringing a gentle feeling of happiness. And some fresh peppermint is bringing clarity and refreshment. Just allow these lovely fragrances to percolate through you and bring a further cool and calm. So just feel yourself in this lovely garden. You might like to look around and see what you can see. And you notice that the golden light had dipped to rose and to blue. and then to a dark blue. And then you notice the cool moon rising as the light falls. So just see if you can feel what it feels like to have the moonlight on your face. And just let it feel like cool water washing through your mind, dissolving any leftover intensity, just letting it wash away the last remains of what's not needed from the day. So just allow yourself to come out of the garden and be wherever you are. And just feel yourself really resting in a lovely, deep, cool, calming way. Just notice how your body feels. Just feel your body. And just feel your breathing. And just see if maybe you could do a lovely breath out. A final release. And then just very gently to stay with yourself. But know that we're coming to the completion of the meditation. So take your time. But when you're ready, you can have a good stretch. Wiggle your toes and fingers. And when you're ready, you can very gently open your eyes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. So we can just go, but if anybody would like to share anything, they can. So lovely to see you all, and I thank you for taking this time to be here this evening.
I think I just want to say thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you. I just feel this meditation really rounds off what you're saying. And like all the things that you said, when we got to visualizing the liver, I had my liver drinking everything. So it's just lovely. Thank you.
So lovely, Laura. Thank you so much for being here. It's lovely to see you. Thank you. Lovely. So, sending lots of love. Wishing you stay cool in the heat when we get it. And yeah, any questions, let me know. Really looking forward to seeing those who would like to join me on Lavender and the Pitta cookery. And I will also be doing another one of these next month. I'm deliberating whether to change it from a Wednesday to a Tuesday, because there are some members who do things on a Wednesday and can't come. If anybody has any thoughts who'd like to be here, if there's a preferable night, please would you send me a little message. Okay, wishing you a lovely rest of the evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lovely to see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.